The trial captivating a nation.
Talking about when those taillight pieces were found.
Video was played for the jury of Karen Read's SUV in a secure area at the Canton Police Department. The car arrived a little before the first piece of broken taillight was found at the scene. The defense alleges evidence might have been planted. Proctor was seen on camera near Read's broken taillight.
This unequivocally shows that Michael Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV.
NBC 10 News has the latest on the retrial of Karen Read.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gene Valicenti. This is our Monday debrief following the first full day of deliberation for the jury. This is technically day 2 of deliberations, although Friday was very, very short. All right, today, before we get into deliberations, we don't know much about what's going on inside the jury room. There was a motion by the defense to at least amend the verdict form. Let's bring in NBC 10's Katie Benoit. Tell us what that was about. What was the motion and what was the amendment to the form?
So the defense has been arguing the last couple of days that the form is confusing to the jury. The form is pretty much the same as it was last year when there was a mistrial. So the defense says they have some concerns. Under the manslaughter while OUI charge, there are some lesser included charges, and there is not an option for not guilty. It's just either check guilty or nothing. But the defense says that's confusing to the jury. They wanted a change made, but the judge denied it.
I thought this was all ironed out before we went to the deliberations. There was discussions about the verdict form. Was this not addressed then?
There was discussions on Friday, and the jury did get that form. And then the defense came back today. They said there might have been a couple different versions of the form floating around between their defense team. So they wanted to submit the correct one, and they were asking for the judge to look at this again. And she came back and said that it was denied and that the verdict slip as written already went into with the jury, and that it's the way it's written, it's consistent with Massachusetts state law. So there was nothing wrong with it, she says, and the jury already has it.
Okay. All right. Let's listen to Karen Read coming out of court earlier today. She talks about this and why it's important to her, although she didn't get what she wanted. Let's play that.
Karen, a response to the judge denying the verdict
this weekend. What did you do for the weekend? Now that you don't have to prepare anymore. You want more boxes added to that verdict slip, but lesser included.
Yes.
Can you explain why that's important to you?
I think what happened last year with the same verdict form explains that the jurors themselves said as much. So we just wanted to avoid that again.
Okay. All right. It's hard to hear her there, depending on the position of our camera. But she said, I think it's important, and she referenced last year. She didn't get what she wanted. All right. That was Karen Read outside court. Deliberations continued. Katie Benoit, anything other than Karen being called back around 4 p.m. this afternoon? Anything to that?
There was no questions from the jury. Last trial, we saw them ask a couple of questions, and then they eventually said they were deadlocked during the mistrial. But today, there were no questions. So the jury came in this morning. They were sent to deliberate very quickly by like 9:02, 9:05-ish. Okay. And then they came back around 4:20 and were sent home for the day again. So not really quite sure what's going on behind closed doors, but they had no questions.
Okay. This is the judge at the end of the day, just letting the jury go home. Let's listen.
Jurors, we appreciate how hard you've worked today. It's been a long day. I'm going to send you home. So I do have to give you those cautions. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Be careful with your social media use. And I think what's a good idea to do is when you leave here, just leave the case here. Literally, figuratively, just clear your heads. It's a beautiful day. Get some fresh air, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay?
Okay. Standard dismissal of the jury for the day. We're back tomorrow. Just to go over this one more time, Katie, she wanted a motion to amend the verdict form, and she referenced, that form might have been my problem last year because the jury said they found me not guilty on 2 counts, and I want to make sure it's completely written out. Does she have a point, even though she didn't prevail?
So last year, the jurors that came forward and spoke about what was going on behind those closed doors said that they were deadlocked on the manslaughter charge, which also had those lesser included last year. And if you look at the verdict slip, it is pretty confusing. There's a lot of charges, and anyone looking at that would probably be confused. So the judge denied the motion, but they were fighting for that jury form to look a little bit different in the verdict form.
Okay, I happened to be up there yesterday in front of the courthouse. Quiet scene, saw the barricade, saw the police tape. Much different scene this morning. People showed up really early, and there was a crowd building through the day.
Oh, yes. It was almost impossible to find a place to park this morning. And I've been covering this case for over a year now, and I've never not been able to find a place to park. Had to go around the back lot a couple of times. And now the supporters of Karen Read showing up are kind of stationed in front of the courthouse. That's a little bit different than last year, where they were more kind of where I'm standing right now on the side of the courthouse. And there was a lot of people here today, probably the most I've seen since the retrial has started. So.
Okay, Katie, we'll look for your reporting a little later. That's it for now, folks. Join us for another debrief tomorrow, and we'll stay on the debrief circuit until the verdict comes in. I'm Gene Valicenti, NBC 10 News.
The trial captivating a nation.
John O'Keefe's niece testified the juvenile recalled Read and O'Keefe fighting in the weeks leading up to the Boston police officer's death.
There was a trip to Aruba where Karen Read accused O'Keefe of kissing another woman, and there was a big argument. She said that things got progressively worse after that. There was a lot of fighting, a lot of voice raising.
The prosecution is trying to establish the fact that there was tenseness between John O'Keefe and Karen Read.
NBC 10 News has the latest on the retrial of Karen Read.